Hello, we are at this year's Plaza Art Fair presented by St. Louis Health System, and this year's theme is Where Wellness Begins. I'm here at Seasons 52 with managing partner Alex Broder, and Alex, that theme really fits the philosophy here at Seasons 52.
It really does. Here at Seasons 52, we really believe in food and a lifestyle you can feel good about. We want you to come in here, really enjoy yourself, and get out there and enjoy Art Fair. So we make a lot of commitments to our guests to make sure we live that lifestyle. We commit to all of our entrees being less than 595 calories. We don't use fryers. We have no preservatives, additives, or dyes in any of our food, and we really try to emphasize the best of the season.
So you have some mouth-watering dishes here from your entree.
Yes.
That really fit into that lifestyle you can talk about.
Exactly. So we really emphasize, right now we're in autumn, so we really want to emphasize seasonality because that's the best the season's going to give us. We're going to get the best, ripest, freshest vegetables. It's always fresh, never frozen. And so really emphasize some of the best things of the seasons like Brussels sprouts, butternut squash, pumpkin. We have some of our entrees here. Our Mediterranean style lamb, served with mint couscous, brick oven roasted cod, and then something I absolutely love, our roasted sirloin, finished with a brandy cream sauce.
Oh, well, this all looks amazing. So make sure if you are coming to the Plaza Art Fair today or anytime down to the country, be sure to visit Seasons 52 and try some of these mouth-watering entrees. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Alex.
please. Thank you for being part of this.
And going back to this theme of Wellness Begins, I also am joined by St. Louis System Food as Medicine Everyday Program Coordinator, or FAME, Lucas Schubert. Hi, Lucas. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, tell me, what is FAME?
Yeah, so FAME, Food as Medicine Everyday. It's a offer St. Luke's Muriel I. Kaufman Women's Heart Center, and it is a nutrition education program really focused on providing our community with education about eating more of a whole foods based diet and understanding how important that is and how that can really have an impact on our health and for really many different conditions.
Right.
It can, and so FAME is actually, there's different components to it. We have different classes and different things you can participate in. Our biggest program is our 12-week series. It's a cooking and nutrition education class. It's for 12 weeks. It's once a week on Tuesday. It comes to eating healthier and just really not being intimidated by how to chop or how to saute or how to really cook with different fruits and vegetables and lots of different things. And then part of that class, as well as the hands-on cooking, is a nutrition education component. So we get to sit down and give knowledge, education, resources, strategies, and tips, just eat better. It's, again, it's not a specific diet. We don't focus on restrictions or what you can't eat. It's really more about knowing that we're all individuals and we all have to eat in different ways, but what is the overall, understanding of nutrition and how that can really have an impact on our health.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, we're making a couple dishes today. This first one here is a great side dish. It would be perfect for a Chiefs watch party.
That's true.
Yeah,
yeah. So let's get cooking. So this is our wild rice salad. This was part of one of our specialty classes. It was for a salad class. We learned lots of different ways to cook different salads and really beyond the greens. We're typically, we know our salad green types, but these are more of our heartier salads. So this is a wild rice salad. Have you ever made anything with wild rice before or familiar with that?
A little bit.
So wild rice is going to be, this is a wild rice blend, but wild rice, it's a nuttier, heartier type of rice that you can include in different types of meals. So I've gone ahead and cooked our wild rice blend here. And it takes about an hour to cook, so I went ahead and did that. But then we're going to add, and I can show you here, you can see it cooked up, really nice. And then we're going to add some different flavors to that to meld into that. So we have half a cup of some pecans and a quarter cup of some chopped sun-dried tomatoes.
Yum.
We have a quarter cup of some chives and then some parsley. Whoop, spilled some there. Tablespoon, and then we have some thyme, half a teaspoon of salt and pepper that we're going to put in there.
Great.
And the reason that we're going to put that in there while our rice is still hot in order to really meld all of those flavors together. So we're going to mix that together, and while this is, melding those flavors in there, I'll put the lid on there. We're going to do some chopping of some different veggies to include in there as well. So one thing in our FAME class, the first class that we have, we talk about knife skills and how important that is. So before even getting into cooking, how do you really chop things? Because that is incredibly important you really understand how to chop, just so you're not intimidated when you get into the kitchen, and you can be, safe and do things really efficiently.
Yeah. So you're learning a lot more than just the recipes. You're teaching them skills as
well. Exactly. So we have some a cutting board here, and what I typically find with some people whenever we're chopping is we tend to hold back on the knife a little bit.
Right.
And what happens is we don't have a lot of control, or we don't really have a lot of power to chopping. So what I like to recommend is actually to choke up a little bit on your knife. So you're going to put your thumb actually on the blade and your finger on the other side.
Okay.
And that gives you a lot more control and a lot more comfortable at first, but you'll get the hang of it.
Great.
Okay, so we're going to chop a red pepper and some green onions here. So when we're chopping, I've gone ahead and chopped up a piece here, but just slicing that into little strips.
And you have a rocking motion.
Yeah, that's a perfect two pieces like you saw here. Give yourself room to just allow it to be a lot easier for you. And now that we have them in strips, we can then set them in a pile, holding them with our little claws, what we like to say, but to avoid chopping your fingers or anything. Don't want that. So just again get into that rocking motion and chopping them into nice diced pieces.
Great.
So that's really all we need. So we have a full red pepper here, and then we're going to chop up and dice our green onions. So we included some chives in this, but this would be a green onion or a scallion.
Okay,
so there
what's
is a
the
difference.
Yeah.
So our chives are going to be a little less onion flavored,
Oh, okay.
but whenever we put them in here, all of that onion is going to meld into the whole entire rice. So we're including these for the little bit of an extra texture and good onion flavor. So you're going to do the same. We're going to chop off our tips. You can leave on the white, and again, just getting into that whole rocking motion to quickly dice through our onions.
Great.
All right. So now, by that time that we've chopped up all of that, our rice will have gone and will be done. I'll set that there. Let's see if we can get going on here. So we're going to put this into our bowl. Thank you. I was going to ask if you don't mind holding that. Last thing we need is this on the floor.
Right.
So you can see all of that's mixed in there well. And now we'll throw in our pepper, throw in our green onions.
Great.
And then the last part is going to be putting together our dressing.
Oh, okay.
So we have a little vinaigrette, olive oil, and white wine vinegar that we're going to put in. So I have 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Olive oil adds a really nice flavor, good healthy fats, great for us. And then a tablespoon of some white wine vinegar, and then half a teaspoon of our salt and pepper. So we're going to put those in there and then just give it a quick little whisk. That's so simple to really make your own vinegar this way. Should I have you go ahead and do you want to whisk that up? Here, let me go ahead and mix this and then give that a little whisk.
Okay.
And then go ahead and start pouring it in while I mix this together with it. We're going to leave some there. Perfect. And that's really it. That's your wild rice salad. Perfect for the Chiefs game. It got some nice red in there,
Yeah, we have a little red in there, so that counts.
And this can be a good side, or it could also be a hearty meal. You have really all of your good macronutrients in there, ready to go.
Okay, wonderful.
So that's our wild rice salad, again, part of one of our specialty classes, our salad class. And now, actually, it became so popular, it's part of our 12-week series, too.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to try it here in a little bit. Well, the second dish that we're making is more of a dessert. So if you have a sweet tooth like me, you can still have some of those sweets that fit into the Fame lifestyle.
For sure, for sure. So this is our coconut berry bliss. It's our take on a whipped cream using coconut cream. So I have a can of coconut milk here. So the first thing whenever you're making this recipe is to get the full fat coconut milk.
Okay, why does that matter?
That matters because we're actually using the fat. We're not going to actually use any of the liquid. So if you get the light coconut milk that's in there, you're not going to have any of that fat that we want. So I've gone, and I'll show you here. Let's see if I can open this up. So see right on top, let's show everyone here, there's the coconut fat, or the cream that we really want.
And you want that.
Want that. So what you're going to do is with a spoon or a fork actually scoop that out.
Okay.
And then the liquid.
Okay.
So we don't want the liquid.
Oh.
You might add a little bit if you want it a little bit, runnier or not so thick. But really all we want is coconut cream. And then it's about adding some flavors to it. So we have half a teaspoon, or teaspoon, excuse me, vanilla.
Okay.
And we have a teaspoon of cinnamon and a little bit of salt that was in there. And a tablespoon of some maple syrup. And then it's just a matter of whisking it together. You can use a fork, you can use a whisk, really whatever works for you. But you can see the cream starts to and really get whipped together. Let's see how I can do this here. And then what you can do, once you put this in a bowl, so we have our bowl here, we'll scoop up some of our cream.
Okay.
And then we have some nice berries, so some little toppings of some strawberries. We have some blackberries we can put in there, and then maybe fresh nuts.
Oh, that's so
and then
good.
you have your perfect just coconut cream dough dessert.
And
so
it's pretty easy too.
Very easy, very together. And really, you know, with this, you're adding a lot more sweetness from our berries and the nuts. So you're having a full, you know, meal with this, if you will, getting in not just your sugar-based desserts. Right.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And another big thing that you talk about in the FAME classes are picking out those ingredients that you're putting into these recipes, or just when you're going shopping for your everyday foods.
Right.
You were very intentional. I know we had the syrup in there when picking out this maple syrup. Now, most people might recognize this one a little bit more. Can you talk about why you chose this maple syrup?
Right, yeah. So whenever we are going through the FAME class, one of the topics that we talk about, again, is food label reading and how important that is, as well as added sugars and really incorporating those in your diet. The big premise of FAME is about eating more whole foods-based, less processed foods. So when it comes to sugars, specifically, or sweeteners, as your example here, if we were to incorporate the skills of reading the food label, which is, for us, we really recommend starting with the ingredients list.
Okay.
So if we look at these two sweeteners, so we have Mrs. Buttersworth and we have, you know, organic maple syrup.
Okay.
You know, if we look in the ingredients list, for our maple syrup here, whenever you look at it, it's just maple syrup. That's really all that is found in the bottle. But with our Mrs. Buttersworth, you know, we make natural caramel color, corn syrup. So the list goes on and on. So again, the idea is to include more whole foods based things that you recognize as food. We recognize, you know, maple syrup as something, but you know, why do we need to include all these extra ingredients in something? So trying to include the more whole foods based, even though this is still considered a sweetener, still considered a sugar. As far as our bodies go, when it comes to, you know, blood sugar regulation, these are going to typically do the same thing. But there's just a little added benefit to getting in your more whole foods based, I guess you will.
And this can be really applied to anything that you're shopping for.
We have some extra stuff. Let's pull these up. So my favorite is peanut butter. This is, I love peanut butter. I don't know about you. So with our peanut butter, this is something that you can really notice right off the bat whenever you are shopping and you start to get the skills of food label reading. Whenever we see our two peanut butters here, so if we were just to look at the front of the package, we see them on the shelves, it's going to be natural, creamy peanut butter. You know, so both are going to say the same thing. Which one should I get? Maybe the one that I'm more familiar with, maybe the one that's cheaper, you know, whatever it may be. So if we would just pick that. But then if we were to, again, look at the ingredients list and actually incorporate those food label reading skills, we would actually notice a difference between these two. So I'm going to have you read for us. So I'll start with this one, the Smuckers. If I was to look at the ingredients, I would just find peanuts and a little bit of salt.
Okay, true peanut butter.
True peanut butter, that's all it really is. And actually, before even getting into reading the ingredients, one thing I recommend to our participants is to think to yourself, if you were to make home, what would you expect to find in there before you even pick up the package? You know, and how would that be made, you know, normally without buying it at the store? So I just see in this one, you know, just some peanuts and some salt. But if I look at our other package, what do we have in there?
So this one has peanuts, sugar,
that were available for us, and just those small little changes can start to add up over time. You'll really start to notice a difference in lots of different processed foods. You know,
Right.
we're going to be purchasing processed foods and packaged foods, but what can we do to make the choice that's available for us, you know, at that time?
Right. And it's really that much extra time when you're grocery shopping.
Right,
It's
yeah.
not that tedious. Yogurt. So yogurt's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we should for?
This is the big
needs.
one that, you know, a lot of people I don't think actually pay attention to that much, especially whenever you have yogurts that are going to be full of blueberries. You know, that's a fruit. There can't be too much sugar in there.
Right.
Fruit's a fresh food. So, if we're again looking at added sugars, so sugars tend to just be empty calories, or added sugars.
Okay.
Empty calories tend to lead to, again, overeating, obesity, diabetes. You know, the list can go on. But whenever it comes to our yogurts, what I recommend doing is first, you know, pick up the no flavored yogurt. Okay. And so whenever you look at the sugars, and we're going to go into our nutrition facts, and we're going to find the sugars there. How much in just no flavor are you going to get when it comes to sugar?
So this one has 4 grams.
4 grams of sugar. So not too much, and a lot of that is going to be just naturally occurring sugars from the milk and the dairy. We have naturally occurring sugars. So then we have to go to our flavored yogurts and see how much sugar is in there. So in this package, how much do we have?
Wow, so this one has 15 grams.
15 grams. So we know naturally occurring is 4. So out of that, 11 is going to be some sort of added sugar. It's not going to be coming from the fruit. It's not. It's going to be more of our added sugars, which can add up over time and really be, you know, more detrimental to our health than it needs to be. So let's
you're
get
much
the
better
flavored.
off just putting the actual blueberries into your yogurt.
Yeah. So get, you know, the flavored or the unflavored kind. Maybe you add a little bit of maple syrup, a little bit of honey. If you need some sweetener, a little vanilla. You could just get some vanilla and then add some fresh berries, some nuts, you know, that sort of thing on your yogurt, and you could really make a difference on your health in doing that.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see by taking the FAME classes, you not only learn some of these great recipes, but you also get a lot of tips and just ways to incorporate FAME in your everyday life.
Yeah.
And you kind of mentioned earlier a wide variety of those classes. Tell me about some of the specialty classes.
We do. So we have our 12-week series, and then we also have the specialty classes that allow our participants and just anyone in the community to become exposed to food as medicine.
Yeah.
So we have done in the past, we've done chocolate classes.
Oh, yum.
We've done salad classes, which we talked about. Doing a fish class here soon.
Okay.
You know, really incorporating different types of eating and just get people exposed to how you can really create nutritious, tasty recipes in a lot of different fun ways.
Right.
And then on top of that, we also have a program that's specific for cancer patients going through treatment. You know, when you're going through treatment for cancer, appetite changes, taste buds change. You know, food becomes a real challenge. And so we offer a 4-week series of classes that are recipes and strategies to really eat better, to support cancer treatment and support your health and your body while you're going through that.
Great. So many great classes.
Sure.
Really find what works for you. Where can people go if they want to learn more about FAME?
Yep. So they can go to kc.org/fame, or they can give us a call at the Women's Heart Center at 1-6-932-5784, and get more information about our class, our 12-week series, our special classes, our cancer series. We have it all. So.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Lucas. And again, if you haven't been to the Plaza Art Fair, we're here till 5, rain or shine. Come by and visit us. Stop by Seasons 52. And stop by the St. Luke's tent in the center of it all. So we'll have all of the updates. There's really something for everyone, from hundreds of to the live music, of course, great food. So be sure to stop by, and we'll have all the updates on the St. Luke's Plaza Art Fair event page.